Cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Character Forge. So my name is Spencer Selover. I am one of the players on Dungeons Divided, but I am also a DM for my own campaigns, my own little homebrews that I do. And a lot of what I like focusing on is character design, world design, and all that kind of stuff. And I know that a lot of people, especially people who are new to the game, love to know how to build a character, how to kind of build an interesting character arc, how to interact with other players, how to interact with a DM. So that's kind of what this show is going to be. So for the first episode, I have created a character who I'm using here at D&D Beyond. And I'm creating a character that's starting off as a, starting off variant human. You can also go changeling. Depends on what you want to do. Variant human is going to be pretty necessary for the early levels because we want the feat. We want that feat where we can get our Ritual Wizard Caster, which allows us to get 3 different spells, but we're mostly going for the Find Familiar. Find Familiar is a very powerful spell. If you don't know what it is, you get to create a familiar. In this case, for thematically, I created for my character a sort of dark purple raven, sort of like almost spirit kind of looking raven. And the reason why familiars are so strong is because they can do things in combat like distract your enemies and give you advantage on attacks and stuff like that. Not only that, but outside of combat, you can use your raven to, or your familiar, whatever you want to choose. You can use it you can see through the eyes of it. You can use it to scout. You can use it for a lot of various other things. For the other 2 abilities, I went with Illusory Script. It's not a very popular ability. It is one that a lot of people overlook, but it is a very strong ability outside of combat. Of course, this is not useful really in combat in any sort of way, but you can use it to, in the description it says, to you and any other creatures you designate, when you cast a spell, the writing on a sort of parchment or anything else appears normal, written in your hand, and conveys whatever meaning you intend when you wrote the text. To all others, the writing appears as if it were written in an unknown or magical script that is unintelligible, or you can make it read something entirely different. This could be great for tricking other players. This could be great for tricking other NPCs. This could be great for writing in code. It could be great for sending secret messages. It's very versatile, but in a very subtle way. Of course, you can change out for anything else you like here. Alarm, detect magic is always great if no one has detect magic in your group. But thematically, I like the fact that we're going with Familiar, Illusory Script, and Phantom Steed, because these are all sort of tricks on the senses, and that is what this character is going to be based around. This character, which I nicknamed, let's see here if I have it, the Jack of All Shades, is going to be a Jack of all trades, but also, play on words, shades, because he's going to be a Bard, Rogue, multi-class. And the whole purpose of this character is to create a character in combat that is easy for beginners to play, can do a lot of different things. If you want to be a support class, you can be support. If you want to be a damage class, you can be damage. And then outside of combat, you have just tons of options. He is a stat beast, or he or she, mine of course would be a he, is a stat beast. I think once you get towards the higher levels, you get something like 4 or 5 different abilities that have like a plus 17. That's insane. Plus 17. So you're looking at persuading someone with a plus 17. You can persuade anyone with anything. Even at lower levels, I think you start off with a plus 9 for things like persuasion and stuff. And this, of course, all comes from later levels in the Bard. First level, of course, we get Bardic Inspiration, hit points, proficiencies, level 1 spell casting, and whatnot. And the second level you're going to take is immediately going to be Rogue. And what we're going to be doing, the reason we're taking Bard and taking Rogue, is we are trying to hit an enemy one time with our advantage from our Find Familiar and hit them as hard as we can with one shot, basically. In our Bardic Inspiration, we're not actually using on our teammates. We're going to be very greedy, and we're going to be using that Bardic Inspiration to actually deal more damage on our attacks. So the first level, we're taking the Rogue. Go proficiencies. I like to go with, I think I didn't choose these yet, did I? Oh, no, I did. Okay. I think instead of acrobatics, I wanted to go with other things. Usually you want to go with persuasion and such. Something like persuasion, performance. Intimidation is okay, but something like acrobatics is also very good for a bard. You're thinking These are all kind of outside of combat things. What do you want your character to be based around? Do you want them to be more of a silver-tongued devil type of character? Do you want to be very acrobatic, sleight of hand, stealthy? You can totally choose whatever you want there. It's very versatile. For rogue, I like to go with where was it at here? You could go either stealth, intimidation. Intimidation is not necessarily the best for our character because, as you'll see later, the college we're taking with the bard, we have a lot of ways around intimidation, other ways to intimidate people. So investigation is great. Perception, I like to just take perception because it's just such a fantastic ability. Always great to have. And then expertise here, we can go with things like performance again, stealth, persuasion. Of course, we want to go with persuasion, I think. And then we want to go with, let's see what other one, deception. Those are two great ones for my character. Cool. And then we get Thieves' Cant. We also get our sneak attack damage, which every single time you are hitting a character or hitting an enemy or creature, whatever you're hitting with, you get to do an additional 1d6 damage if you have advantage on that attack. And of course, since we have our familiar, we should always have advantage on this attack. So we are hitting every turn and getting our sneak attack damage pretty much no matter what, which is a very powerful early level skill. Now, what are we doing here? Are we going more into Bard? Are we going more into Rogue? I like to go level 3 immediately in Rogue. I know this is more of a Bard-centric character, but getting the 3rd level into Rogue immediately will give us our Mastermind. Why are we going Mastermind over other things like Assassin or things that can probably hit harder on turn 1? That is because Mastermind is going to give us the option to grant advantage to not only ourselves, but also grant advantage to any other character in our party using the Master of Tactics. We also get the Master of Intrigue, which is great as well, but just sort of outside of combat type things as well. We'll go into that. But starting at level 3 with the Master of Tactics, you can use your help action as a bonus action. Additionally, when you use the help action to aid an ally in attacking a creature, the target of that attack can be within 30 feet of you, rather than within 5 feet of you. So as long as someone can see and hear you within 30 feet, you can help them, which helps them either resist a sort of saving throw or something like that, or give them advantage on their next attack. You can really talk with your DM as far as how much you want to get from this as well. Who do we have in chat already? We have a Dead Aussie Gamer. Hello, how are you doing today? I'm trying to keep chat open and interact with the audience as well, so if you guys want to chat and say hi, I can say hi back to you. Okay, cool. Let's get back to this. We have Master of Intrigue. Now, Master of Intrigue just allows you to learn different languages and choose a gaming set. It's up to you. This is all just preference. Dice set is always great. 3 Dragon Ante. I love playing 3 Dragon Ante in my actual games. I'm just going to pick that because it's a fun game. And then for language, once again, more so up to flavor. I'm just going to choose 2 random ones. We'll go Dwarvish, and then we'll go, I think Elf or something. Elven is good always to have, so do I not see it here? Okay, whatever. We will go Sylvan instead then. We can talk to some magical foresty creatures instead. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, this is up to your own campaign, your own discretion, your own sort of role-playing. Now, after level 3 in Rogue, that's all I'm going to take in Rogue. We don't need extra sneak attack damage, and the reason why is because once we get to level 3 in the Bard, so at level 2, of course, you'll get Jack of all trades. This is the ability that I was talking about before, where it makes your out of combat ability checks, or well, even in combat ability checks, gives you half of your proficiency bonus towards everything. So all of your stats are going to just increase immediately, which is awesome. Like, you are now the Jack of all shades, technically, once you hit level 2 in this one. You can also get the Song of Rest. Now, the Song of Rest is going to lead towards a little bit more of a support role. It's just a great ability to help have a little bit extra healing for you and your party. Now we have Bard College. So for our Bardic College, we are going to be taking the College of Whispers. The College of Whispers is a college that is, I believe it's in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, so you'll have to have that expansion. But it is a college that is mostly focused on sort of really getting in the heads of other players. Mostly NPCs. You're going to want to use this to sort of overcome your NPCs that you're talking with. You're going to want to use it to interrogate NPCs. You can use it to charm NPCs. You can use it to do a bunch of different things. Also, we have +2 to charisma. Hello, +2 to charisma. Hope you're having a wonderful night. I don't have any of your little coasters here, and I wish I did, because my table is got a brand new desk table here, and I have a cup of water sitting here without a coaster, so I hope it doesn't stain. No water stains, but I do love those coasters that you gave us for the Dungeons Divided game. They're really cool. Okay, cool. And let's keep going on. We have, of course, expertise. We are getting so much expertise. So we're getting so many stats. We're getting expertise from here. We're getting expertise from here. We're getting just so many skills. From here, once again, you can kind of go into whatever you want. I like performance, being a bard. And I like acrobatics is great. Stealth, if you want to be a little bit more that stealthy kind of character. Sleight of hand, perception, all these are great. We'll go for flavor. We'll go stealth. This way we can be a little bit stealthier. That's going to be at level 3. And then we have Psychic Blades at level 3. Now, this can be a little bit hard to roleplay. It's a great ability, but it can be hard to roleplay, especially because we want to be a ranged character. We don't really necessarily want to be a melee-based character for this build. We want to be a ranged sort of sniper, scouter, support character. And so with this ability, it kind of begs the question, how are you going to deal this psychic damage? For my character that I created in this aspect, he has I let him have a gun, but if your DM doesn't want to have any guns, you can use a crossbow. And the weapon that he's using, he either stole or inherited or came across, and it is a cursed weapon. So whenever he shoots at an enemy, that has a chance to sort of corrupt their mind in a way. Whenever the piercing bolt or bullet or whatever hits them, you have this extra damage of 2d6 psychic damage. It's up to you how you really want to roleplay that, but it's like you can talk with you were your DM. You can always ask if you can change the damage. I wouldn't want to change the damage because psychic damage is phenomenal, especially in the early game, even towards late game. There are so many enemies that are just not resistant or not immune to psychic damage. It's a great way to kind of buff up that physical damage you're dealing with a little bit extra non-resistible sort of damage. And then you get Words of Terror, which is absolutely amazing. I love this ability. Also, I saw that +2 to charisma. Trays are coming in soon too. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. We have like 3 of our players that don't have trays yet. And I'm just using the little foldable ones, so trays are awesome. I can't wait for those. All right, Words of Terror. At the 3rd level, you learn to infuse innocent-seeming words with an insidious magic that can inspire terror. If you speak it to a humanoid alone for at least 1 minute, this is kind of where this interrogation sort of comes in. You can attempt to seed paranoia into its mind. At the end of the conversation, the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell DC or be frightened of you or another creature of your choice. The target is frightened in this way for 1 hour, or until it is attacked or damaged, like most other sort of charm spells and such, or until it witnesses an ally being attacked or damaged. So you can't use this to sort of shut down an enemy and then kill them, but you can definitely use it to get around so many different social situations, or if you want to interrogate someone, or if you want to really use this in any way to get any sort of information or send anyone that you don't like away from you. Like, it's so versatile, and you can do so much with it. Now, if the target succeeds on the saving throw, the target has no hint that you try to frighten it. This is very important because a lot of charm spells, when you use those spells on people, they're aware of what you're doing. With this one, Words of Terror, they have no idea that you were trying to manipulate them, which is awesome. So there's really almost no downside to this at all. And once you finish this feature, you can't use it again until a short or long rest. On a short rest is phenomenal because you can just be using this all the time. All right, so this is mostly our full build. I think at level 4 I gain an additional ability score improvement. It's up to you whether or not you want to get a feat or ability score. I like to get on this character where is it at? Okay. You can either get Sharpshooter, which is my preferred route, or you can go with something like, I mean, I think Sharpshooter is the way to go. You could get a couple other things if you wanted to, like, Piercer, or like just straight stats or Resilient or whatever. But I think that sharpshooter is the way to go. The reason being, we're going to have advantage on every single attack roll we make. If you have a -5 penalty to the attack roll, but you have advantage on that, they balance each other out very well, and you're going to hit with still most attacks. But you also get to deal an additional +10 damage on that attack. That is huge, especially at low levels. It does fall off a little bit later as things become harder to hit later on in the levels. So if you're going for the long game, this may not be the best one. It still is. I mean, it'll balance it out enough because you'll be getting more decks, you'll be getting better weapons. It balances out enough to where it's still useful. But in the early game, this is very strong. So at level 7, we have basically our core build to where we are already able to deal a substantial amount of damage. We are also able to support the party with our spells and our Mastermind technique. And yeah, that is kind of where we're going to stop for now with the levels. I can show you what we can do after that, of course. But just to kind of go ahead and go forward, I'm going to talk about abilities and everything else as well. But that is our core build, and that's how we build up to level 7. Start with level 1 Bard, 3 levels into Rogue, and then the rest up until level 4 into Bard. For our abilities, I'm going to use point buy system. The point buy system is going to give us an ability to be used in any sort of game. If you want to roll for it and see if you get better rolls, of course, be my guest, do whatever you want. But the point buy system, of course, is pretty universal and works in pretty much any game. I took a 8 in strength just to get a couple extra points, and 15 dexterity, 15 charisma, just to max out our charisma outside of combat and our dexterity for in combat. Hopefully, we shouldn't be hit a lot by any sort of attack, so constitution and whatnot shouldn't really be that much of an issue. Excuse me. So maxing out dexterity, maxing out charisma, it's up to you if you want to do that, especially in point buy. Those are very expensive abilities, or if you want to be more of a well-rounded character, you can take 1 point out of each of those, and then you can get a sort of more benefit to like constitution or wisdom or intelligence or even strength to make sure you're more of a well-rounded character. I don't think it's necessary, especially with having the race be human. You get to choose 2 talents in the beginning. 2 ability scores in the beginning, and I chose charisma and dexterity, and that balances out really well. So now we have a 16 and a 16 in both of these. Like I said, up to you how you want to do that. This is how I would do it, and to get the kind of the most damage and most kind of out of game play as well. Description, I chose Charlatan, just because it really fits the vibe of the character. And then going to the description, the way I see this character and the way I've kind of created this character is to be a character who's kind of been lying his way through life, kind of manipulating people. He is a person who, the way I built this one, this man here, he lied his way up until college, got into the College of Whispers, took over identities of other people, either people that he's made up or people that have fallen, or people, if you wanted to go the evil route, people who he has taken the lives from. And he now he's taking over these personas. He went to the College of Whispers. He kind of learned the Mastermind Rogue technique from hanging out and, with the bad crew and whatnot, and really learning how to manipulate people. And then he started, he finished up his learning at the College of Whispers. I like to think that maybe he got some sort of internship with some high either royalty or some sort of duke or something like that. And in my character, the duke ended up dying, but he ended up taking on the persona of his son, and therefore taking on the whole estate, kind of living out this grandiose life where he, goes on annual sort of hunting trips with his friends and learned how to use the musket and has this sort of refined life, but he still is found wanting. He still needs something else, either the sense of adventure, or maybe he feels like this life that he's living is a lie and he needs to really change. So that is kind of what sets the character onto his adventure. That's kind of the way I built him, and I feel like thematically with what we're building here, that works really great. Equipment, I have a couple different options here. You can have a dagger in your hands. You can use it as a throwing weapon. I don't think that's really necessary, considering we'll have our either crossbow or musket or revolver or whatever we're going to have as far as ranged weapons go. And then as your sort of melee weapon, you can have like a rapier, which is fantastic, but I don't really foresee using the melee weapon very often. We should be hiding under cover as much as we can, being far away from the action, just within earshot of our allies for most of the battles. using the melee weapon would be a very last-minute resort. We can go with studded leathers, which is just fine. I don't think I'd really want to go with anything like a medium armor. It doesn't really make sense going with just light armor and everything. You want to kind of keep that stealthy aspect to your character. Studded leathers are a great starting option. And we're starting off very light. If you go with like a musket or something expensive, I don't think you'd have enough to start with studded. You could probably just start off with just regular leather armor. But once again, hopefully we're not going to be getting hit very much, and we'll be behind half cover or something for the most part, adding to our AC that way. Thieves' tools, of course. We want to be able to pick locks, everything like that. We'll have some sleight of hand and all that. And kind of just going in now, we'll go into the character as it is now. Let me see. I think I have to go back to this one. There we go. So now you can see the whole page. So now we're going into our character at level 7. I haven't chosen any spells or anything else yet, but you can see that the stats across the board here are extremely strong. We have a +9 in performance, +9 in persuasion, +9 in stealth, +9 in deception. Those are huge stats to be having this early in the game. +9 is like, you almost can't fail at anything. Plus we have +6 in several of them. We have +2s, +3s across the board. I think the only thing we don't have any pluses in would be athletics, just because we have that -1 to strength. But really, you don't need athletics when you have acrobatics +6. So no point for that. We have a good initiative bonus. We're going to be able to deal that sneak attack damage and everything. I'll show you kind of how that works now. You have a +6 to hit with your weapons you're proficient in. And most people probably would start off with a light crossbow. I very much doubt your DM wants you starting off with a musket or anything like that. So you would roll with a +6 to hit. You would get 1d8 +3 on damage. But then you can spend your bardic inspiration, as it says in the builder. Let's go back to the builder here. All right. So under here, we have that, once again, the College of Whispers, Psychic Blades. We get to add now at this level, at level 4, we get to add 2d6 psychic damage. Actually, I think it starts off at 2d6. My bad. It's the sneak attack that starts off at 1d6. So we'll be doing 2d6 psychic damage. And we'll be doing 1d6 sneak attack damage, because we should have advantage on everything. So you're dealing, at this point in time, you would be dealing your 1d8 +3. You would have advantage on that roll, -5. So you get to roll advantage, and you basically get a +1. It's not that bad. And whatever you hit, you would deal 1d8 plus 3d6 plus an additional flat 13 damage on top of that. That is a lot of damage for just one attack, especially at this point in the game. Not only that, you're able to give your bonus action to either, you could use your cunning action if you want to get away or something like that, but for the most part, we're going to be using our bonus action on our allies to use the help action. So we have advantage on our attack, hitting super hard, run away, whatever, hide behind cover, use the bonus action to help our allies, and then they can destroy them from then on. Now they get advantage on their next attack or something like that. Pretty versatile and very strong build. Do the Barbarian class next time. I love Barbarians. I think that they are just so much fun. I think there's a lot of people that like to play the Barbarians as like a Barbarian, which is hilarious and very overpowered. I'll think of some fun, clever Barbarians for next time. I have a couple in my pocket that I really love. But yeah, I think Barbarian is a super, super fun class to play. And a lot of fun roleplay there, because you can make it that your rage is... I think one of the characters I created, his rage is something he can't control. He's basically possessed by this sort of protectorial spirit. But yeah, actually, I do have one that I'll do next time for that. I have one in mind. Cool. Let's go back to the builder again, because I want to kind of show you how it's going to finish off. Not a whole lot more to do here. Finishing off, you can go a couple more points to get that extra sneak attack damage, because you get 1d6, and then that increases. What does it increase to? Let's see here. Which level does it increase to 2d6s? Is it going to tell me as I upgrade? Probably not. But you could upgrade until you get the 2d6 sneak attack damage. Let's see. Sneak attack is 2d6. So I think maybe it does start off at level 3 being the 2d6 then. Let me make sure here, just so I'm not mistaken. because I don't have the actual player handbook or anything up right now, so I'm just kind of looking at D&D Beyond. Yeah, okay, cool. So we don't need to put any more points into Rogue. There's no reason to get the extra D6s on sneak attack damage, really. It would be more consistent damage for like a longer span of combat, but we have enough Bardic Inspiration to be able to add those D6s to our psychic damage instead. And as we level up Bard, we're going to get more spell slots and everything else as well. So I think leveling up Bard after that just to the max is kind of what you do. Ability score improvements, it's great to just get Dexterity. I mean, you can go for feats if you want, but I think just going as a straight up ability beast is the way I like going. So I can just pump Dexterity at level 8, pump Dexterity. You get an additional +1 to hit, +1 on damage, everything. Expertise, we can now choose Perception maybe, and then we'll choose Acrobatics, and then we'll choose Sleight of Hand. Magical Secrets, another really cool thing. You can learn so many different spells out of the Magical Secrets. It is just ridiculous how versatile these abilities are. I won't even look at these right now because there's so many options. It depends on which way you want to go. You can go more support, you can go more damage based, you can go more kind of disrupting the enemy based. I love abilities like Silvery Barbs. You can get that as long as you have the like I think it's Strixhaven is where that comes from, the book. But Silvery Barbs is just incredible as a support skill. There's so many cool ways to build classes. Love that about D&D. Tons of flavor to be had. Lethal Shadow Gaming. I completely agree. There's so many different combinations with multi-classing. You can take one level into like so many different classes and just really be super versatile. Or you can just stick with one and still be very strong. It's just ridiculous how many combinations you can do. And not only that, but adding the themes to these characters is some of the most fun as well. Like if you create these characters and give them a backstory that really fits, that is what I think is most fun instead of just min-maxing. I know there's different ways which I could be doing more damage or different ways which I could be more disruptive, but this build here actually has a theme to it and is very fun and, like I said, very versatile. Cool. Magical Secrets. You don't have to wait until Magical Secrets to get Silvery Barbs. You can just get that. So I'm not saying you have to use it there, but like I said, just an option for how you want to build it. Ability score improvement again, just going to go a straight up ability. And this is kind of when we're going to be maxing out our Dexterity. And then now we have additional +2 on top of what we had. So we have a +5, which is the max. Is it going to load? Uh-oh, D&D Beyond is being laggy. More Magical Secrets again after that. Even more cool spells. I mean, your slots for, not your slots, but your options to use your spell slots are just expanding and expanding and expanding. It's crazy. Shadow Lore. Shadow Lore is an awesome ability. Level 14. This is getting towards the end game. You probably won't ever get to this point in a D&D game. A lot of people like to sort of fantasize about hitting this level 18, 19, 20, but very rarely will that ever happen in a D&D game. Oh, Silvery Barbs. I know. Yeah. Super useful. Silvery Scale. Oh, yeah. Silvery Barbs. Yeah. Silvery Barbs is ridiculous. Your DM will be pulling out their hair if you're using this ability often. It is one of the strongest abilities in the game. If you don't know what it does, it's whenever let's say an enemy is trying to hit one of your allies, you can use your reaction, use a spell slot, to give them disadvantage on basically anything. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh, yeah, we said it right there in chat. Awesome. You magically distract the triggering creature and turn its momentary uncertainty into encouragement for another creature. The triggering creature must re-roll the d20 and use the lower roll. You can then choose a different creature you can see within range. The chosen creature has advantage on the next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes within a minute. So, yeah, not only does it give disadvantage, it also gives advantage. So it's like double. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, your DM might just ban that ability from the game if you use it too often, so be careful. And then we have Shadow Lore, like I said, at level 14. Getting towards the end of the game here, if you get here. This lets it so, as an action, you magically whisper a phrase that only one creature of your choice within 30 feet of you can hear. The target must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, which should be pretty high at this point, considering we're bumping dexterity or charisma if you really wanted to get even a higher charisma to boost these instead. It automatically succeeds if it doesn't share a language with you or if it can't hear you. On a successful saving throw, you whisper sounds like unintelligible mumbling that has no effect. Once again, there's no downside to this. It's a great way to interact with NPCs and try to manipulate people with not really having any repercussions, which is awesome. On a failed saving throw, the target is charmed by you for the next 8 hours. That's basically a whole day. You now have a charmed creature, or person or whatever, or until you or allies attack it, damaging it, or force it to make a saving throw. It interrupts the whispers. Interprets the whispers as a description of its most mortifying secret. You gain no knowledge of the secret, but the target is convinced that you know it. The charmed creature obeys your commands for fear that you will reveal its secret. So it's not necessarily a charm as much as it's fear. I know it's under charm spells, but this creature is just terrified that you're either going to reveal its secret or that you're going to use that secret fear against it. And so it's doing whatever you want during this time. It won't risk its life for you or fight for you unless it was already inclined to do so. It grants you favors and gifts it would offer to a close friend. Very useful outside of combat. When the effects end, the creature has no understanding of why it held you in such fear. That is so strong because, like I said, again, charm effects, usually people are aware of charm effects. When this effect ends, they have no idea what happened. So you get what you want, and then you get away with it. You can have your cake and eat it too. Such a cool class because you have the Shadow Lore and you have the Whispers. So you have 2 ways to kind of get whatever you want from anything. Outside of combat, that is. And then this one is on a long rest. So the other one is on a short rest. This one resets on a long rest. And then, of course, you get another ability score improvement if you wanted to max out to level 20. I don't think it's really necessary to get the superior inspiration or anything like that at all. It's not necessary to max out Bard. The 3 levels into Rogue just for that sneak attack damage, and the Mastermind bonus action is just so strong. And like I said, this is going to be a character you're going to be playing at range, undercover, sniping, sort of telling the allies, hey, he's over there. They get a free advantage on him as well. And outside of combat, you are just going to be a stat beast. I believe at this level 20, you're looking at plus like 17s, plus 15s. You're getting just so many stats across the board. It is insane. I mean, how can you ever fail a sleight of hand with a plus 17 or a stealth check with a plus 17? You are like I said, a jack of all shades. And that's pretty much what this character is supposed to be. It's a very easy class to play. It's a very, very fun class to play inside and outside of combat. Like I said, inside of combat, you're dealing massive damage with those attacks, those crossbows or those muskets or whatever else sort of ranged weapons you're allowed to have. You're doing one massive attack, and then you're assisting your allies with either silvery barbs with reaction or help actions for advantages and stuff like that as well. It's pretty bonkers. I agree. This is a very fun build. It's not overpowered, I wouldn't say by any means. Like I said, the sort of abilities like silvery barbs and stuff like that can get pretty out of control. But this one I don't think it's an overpowered build by any means. I did want to go into eventually talking about sort of a way to build a character for role-playing sake. I know I went into that a little bit with this character, and I'll kind of touch base on it. This is the first episode, so mostly I kind of just wanted to go into a build, get things started, see what people enjoyed hearing. But another thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that these characters that I'm making, they have a theme about them, of course, like I said. And this is very important because you're playing a character that they're incorporating their abilities and their sort of fighting style and the sort of way they interact with enemies and allies. You're interacting with that in a way that fits your character. And like I said, this character I could see as being a sort of either sniper support character. Maybe he has a musket that, like I said, is cursed and he's shooting these enemies from far away. But he's also a very self-centered character who likes manipulating people for his character arc. You could absolutely sort of change his character where he realizes, I can't be this person anymore because I'm living a lie. I need to change when he's interacting with the party and everything else. So it gives you options for developing your character for sure. We'll go into things like character arcs and stuff like that, I think, in a whole episode, because that could be a whole another episode in itself, is how to interact with characters in your party, how to interact with the DM, how to create a unique character arc. So maybe I'll do that for a whole another episode. But this one was kind of just talking about just the character here that I made, the Jack of all shades. I think that's pretty much covers everything. Equipment-wise and everything, like I said, if you can get that musket or something going with your DM, I know they cost a lot of money. Either later, maybe get even a better weapon. You can get like a hunting rifle, and those are even stronger. Kind of work that out. Crossbows are not really great end game, but if you get like a +1 crossbow, +1 bolts or whatever, you can start doing more damage that way. But like I said, this guy's guy, or if you want to play it a girl or whatever, they, them, whatever you want, that's fine. Like I said, this is just a guy that I made. Then you can absolutely do that. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything, except for there was that one thing I said. If you wanted to instead go, especially in the later levels, the changeling. The changeling is much more thematic for the character because the changeling would really fit that whole living a lie. You'd be able to shapeshift into other people. That's definitely more of a roleplay route you can go. The problem with that is you're not going to get your familiar at level 1. You'll have to wait until your first ability score improvement at level 4. I don't think you even get one. No, you'd have to wait until basically level 7 if you did this build until you could get your familiar. It's a long time to wait, and you wouldn't get that sharpshooter talent right away. I think variant human's the way to go, but if you really want to delve deep into that roleplay experience and you don't really care about doing more damage with a sharpshooter feat or anything like that, or having advantage on your attack rolls, then you can absolutely go changeling, and then you can get those abilities to, I believe they also get one more charisma or one more dexterity, I don't remember, than doing this, because they have charisma, dexterity as well. And then, yeah, then you just wouldn't get the familiar feat. You wouldn't get that the sneak attack damage benefit. You'd be doing a lot less damage, but outside of combat, you'd have that ability to shapeshift and sort of really embody that outside character. Oh no, you can't change race mid-game. Sorry about that. No, I was saying instead in the beginning. I mean, you can change race if you're like resurrected or something, but that's just a random chance too. No, this is talking about just in the character creation. If you wanted to start off at a lower level, variant human is the way to do more damage and really complete this build. The changeling, you would miss out on the sneak attack, guaranteed sneak attack damage, and you would really miss out on the the familiar. So you wouldn't have advantage on every attack. So it kind of does mess up the build quite a bit, but thematically it would make sense to go changeling. So if you're starting a little bit later in the game, maybe you're starting level 7, level 8, absolutely you could be a changeling. You can start off changeling, use that first feat for find familiar, still have this build going. You wouldn't have sharpshooter until later levels, but it's fine. You can definitely have that theme later. Cool. I think that pretty much sums up this character. So for the most part, I believe that is going to be the end of this first episode. I only have one character planned for now, like I said. I'll probably be doing one character per episode. And I'm going to also be doing, like I said, delving into character arcs and all that kind of stuff as well. If you're watching this, please click on the Discord link down below. Our Discord is growing very quickly, and we have a great community of very active members on our Discord. And through there, you can find everything else. If you're looking for any sort of information about our site and everything like that. We stream our actual Dungeons Divided episodes every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have 2 more shows that are coming at you. We have Ask the Acolytes, which already had their first episode, and we're going to have the Archivist's Mirror, which is, I believe, it's to be determined, the air date on that one. But we're going to have quite a bit of shows coming out that are really going to sort of cover all the bases here. We're going to have interviews, we're going to have character building, we're going to have deep dives into our episodes, and a lot of things to enjoy. So definitely make sure you join that Discord, keep updated, and I guess I will see you next week. Same time, same place, I'll be here.